There are hundreds of quotes referring to wilderness. And the fact that many of them touch you somewhere deep inside, bring a lump to your throat, and gently nudge chords that are disturbed by little else, bears witness to this fact. It is that indescribable feeling one gets when standing on the highest mountain looking out, when sitting on an expanse of open savanna, when walking in a forest filled with century-old trees. Even when you had no idea something inside was missing, you suddenly feel a fulfillment that takes you to another place. All problems seem insignificant, and suddenly you know that you can conquer the world. That is what wilderness provides. There is no pill, no quick fix.
Hi, my name's Katie and I work here at Askari Wilderness Conservation Programme. That's based on Pidwa Wilderness, and what we are is basically a benchmark reserve here in South Africa. A benchmark trying to create a wilderness area after many different land uses that the reserve has been through. So before Pidwa Wilderness it was hunting that took place here, trophy hunting. And before the trophy hunting, then this area was actually used as farmland for cattle, tobacco, cotton and citrus farms. So just a couple of those things mentioned there basically detail some of the problems and challenges facing conservation in South Africa at the moment. So some land is used for farmland, which is then not available for wild animals. Some is used for hunting, which is done with legitimate permits, but even that has its questions. This is Cooper. This is our second member of the Pidwa dog team. So hunting is it's a very controversial topic within conservation in South Africa. Some may argue that it has a part to play in conservation. What happened in South Africa is, as a very developed country, then a lot of the wild area is decreasing in size and it ends up being fenced to keep it safe from animals leaving and from people coming in. But once you create those fenced reserves, then you create problems such as overpopulation. So especially animals like elephants, who are big animals, they need a lot of space, they need to walk around and find lots of food. You've now put a fence around them and they can't disperse to where they want to. The same thing can happen with top predators such as lions. So they don't really have any big natural enemies. They can have the odd fight with each other, maybe with spotted hyenas. But for those kind of strong predators, again, having a fence around them, it limits their natural dispersal. So there's plenty of challenges facing these smaller reserves. They need to be managed so that the populations within them can be balanced. That's really the main key. It needs to be a balance between all populations on the reserve, of predators, of herbivores, of prey items. Once you've covered farmland and whether you can use that land for wild animals, whether hunting those overpopulated areas can play a part in controlling your land. And then another very big problem facing South Africa and conservation is poaching. So poaching is the illegal killing of wildlife. There's no permits, there's no permission. The people doing that poaching are not allowed on the land. They're not allowed any access to those animals. And it's done for a number of reasons. Some poaching is done for the meat of the animal, which they then take away and sell illegally to make money. And then other animals, probably the biggest one for us here in South Africa at the moment is the rhino. They're poached so that their body parts can be used in medicine. That medicine is going overseas, mostly to the Far East, where they believe it has powers to cure cancer. And that's putting a huge pressure on our wild population of rhinos here in South Africa. So there's many different aspects to the conservation that's going on here, to find a balance between farmland, between the need and the money that hunting brings in, the space and the limit that we have for wild animals, the fences which have an impact, and the way we need to manage those species, and all the time fighting basically a war against those people who want to kill animals for their body parts in medicine as well. So here on Pidwa, we've got all of those things going on. We're trying to recover from farmland, recover from hunting, reduce poaching, manage the population, and really it's really about biodiversity for us to give a balance of everything that should be here.
Hear the drums echoing tonight, and she hears only whispers of some quiet conversation. She's coming in 12:30 flight. The moonlit wings reflect the stars that guide me towards salvation. I stopped an old man along the way, hoping to find some old forgotten words or ancient melodies. He turned to me as if to say, "Hurry boy, it's waiting there for you." Gotta take a lot to drag me away from you. There's nothing that 100 men or more could ever do. I bless the rains down in Africa. Gonna take some time to do the things we never had. The wild dogs cry out in the night as they grow restless, longing for some solitary company. I know that I must do what's right, sure as Kilimanjaro rises like Olympus above the Serengeti. I seek to cure what's deep inside, frightened of this thing that I've become. Gonna take a lot to drag me away from you. There's nothing that 100 men or more could ever do. I guess the rains down in Africa. We're gonna take some time to do the things we never had.
Local crocodile. Hello, my name is Robbie. I am the assistant manager for Askari. 26. I'm a female, sometimes ginger, often just blonde. Depends on the sun. Hello, my name is Robbie. Anyway, I'm whatever you want me to be. My time at Askari, I have been here working since the start of 2018. But I first volunteered here in 2013 as a volunteer. It's sunny today. The cloud is 7 out of 8. Now pause. So my role on the reserve is, as I said, as sort of assistant manager for Askari, which is a volunteer program that works primarily in wilderness conservation, focusing on the smallest things, be it grasses and trees, to the larger things such as mammals, be it Inyala or sable, which is examples of endangered species that need more focus on. So by working with the smaller things, it certainly makes you appreciate the larger things in life, be it elephants and lions to the general principles of humanity. Askari started about 10 years ago on a reserve called Pidwa. Pidwa is incredibly unique because it doesn't house any tourists. It's purely here for nature conservation and the conservation of habitat, opposed to the conservation of a specific species. This is here for a land for animals to roam and do their own thing, to be self-sustainable. Why is Askari different to anything else? Why is Pidwa different? Mainly the ethos, in that we try and produce a reserve that is entirely self-sustainable and very resourceful in what we use. We're changing old farmland into habitat for any sort of wildlife. So long-term projects there are many, ranging from removing alien invasive species, such as your vegetation, be it your plants, things called prickly pear, or also known as pipi, and lantana, which we then use a very expensive poison to get rid of, courtesy of the people who own this property, are incredibly keen to protect the environment and remove what isn't supposed to be here. New projects that are coming on have really been focusing around which endangered species that we breed. We also have breeding projects within the property for animals such as buffalo, sable and Inyala currently, where this reserve once had natural roaming animals, were once removed due to previous human involvements, have now been replaced by the animals that we have been breeding. So behind me you can see a fence, which is part of a breeding program for Inyala, which were once entirely hunted out on this property, but they do belong here. So infrastructure was put in place for the animals to be bred and then released. Just this week the volunteers will be getting involved with moving a population from our large breeding camps into the open system, where they can continue breeding naturally where they once belonged. So that's the sort of new projects that are happening. I think I've covered most.
The heart is a balloon, shoots up through the stony ground. There's no room, no space to rent in this town. You're out of luck, and the reason that you had to care, the traffic is stuck, and you're not moving anywhere. You thought you found a friend to take you out of this place, someone you can lend a hand in return for grace. It's a beautiful day, sky broken by cloud. See the tuna fleets clearing the sea out. See the bedroom fires at night. See the oil fields at first light. And see the bird with a leaf in her mouth. After the flood, all the colors came out. It was a beautiful day. Don't let it get away. Beautiful day. Touch me. Take me to that other place. Release me. I know I'm not a hopeless case. What you don't have, you don't need it now. What you don't know, you can feel it somehow. What you don't have, you don't need it now. Don't need it now. It was a beautiful day.
If future generations are to remember us with gratitude rather than contempt, we must leave them a glimpse of the world as it was in the beginning, not just after we got through with it.